In 1953, May of 1953, the National Foundation created a vaccine advisory committee specifically to promote the possibility of conducting a field trial in the United States to test the efficacy of the Salk vaccine. And through that year, the momentum and excitement about the possibility that that would be an end to polio really mounted, and the National Foundation enlisted the services of organizations like the Association of State and Territorial Health Officers, the American Medical Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, etc., in order to test the idea that this was feasible. It was finally given a green light in April of 1954, and the vaccine field trial started. It was organized, initiated, and funded solely by the March of Dimes. What was at stake was testing the efficacy of the vaccine that Dr. Jonas Salk had developed in his virus research lab at the University of Pittsburgh. And we were pretty sure that the safety of that vaccine was 100%, but we needed to, in a field trial, in a very carefully controlled clinical study, to determine whether that vaccine was effective. So the vaccine field trial had three stages: a vaccine stage, a stage of taking blood samples from the children who were involved, and then an analysis stage. Because it was funded solely by the March of Dimes, we wanted to have an impartial entity, another organization, actually conducting the field trial, and hence Dr. Salk, actually his mentor, Thomas Francis of the University of Michigan, ran the field trial under the aegis of the poliomyelitis vaccine field trial evaluation. And it took about a year to give vaccine and placebo to about 1.8 million school children who were known as polio pioneers. And on April 12th, 1955, at the University of Michigan, the vaccine was announced as safe, effective, and potent. And the United States and some of the rest of the world really were jubilant over the fact that this scourge had really the end was in sight for this scourge of polio. And that was a really unique moment. I think it has to be looked at in the context of how Americans thought of science at that time. It was at the tail end of the McCarthy era. There was the Cold War paranoia. There was the fear of the atomic bomb. And here was a hero, a real scientific hero that I think many Americans, ordinary Americans, could connect with, because if nuclear war was feared during that time, polio was also highly feared. And here was the beginning of the end of that dread disease.